Welcome to episode 2 of Sheev's Throne Room podcast. Today I am joined again with Shawn and Adrain, and then joining us for the first time is Andres. So, we've met Shawn and Adrain before, so let's get a little bit of words from Andres. Give us a little brief summation of your Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I think it's how you phrased the question last time. I've not read any of the books. I've not seen most of the shit that got made non-canon. I'm not familiar with it at all, really. I've seen all the movies, and then I recently, this past year, caught up on Clone Wars and Rebels. Finally,
Yeah, because I would say this year you've been really more getting into it.
for sure, yeah. This year is like where I would say I actually turned more into like an actual fan as opposed to just like being aware of it, I guess. And I dove in once I started Clone Wars. I just kept kind of going into it, and all like the expanded universe, all the background lore, all the other shit that you don't see in any of the movies. That's my shit. I'm all about it so far. So yeah, I guess mainly just catching up on those shows recently, playing a few of the games. Not as many because there've been a fuck ton of Star Wars games.
There's been so
I've
many
not
games.
played most of the old ones. I've not played. So yeah,
Yeah.
bad it.
That teases us up a little bit because this episode it's going to be more geared toward the video game side of things because I think we've all played them to a degree. Some of us more than others. I think me and Shawn are up there.
Oh yeah.
Adrian, you're saying before this that you've only maybe looking at the list, you've maybe only played like 5 games or something like that.
Yeah, I've touched the surface. Yeah, I've played about 5 of them.
Yeah, I had to actually go through the full list of Star Wars games that are out there and actually make a list of the ones that I've not played, so that because that was actually shorter than the ones that I have played, so that was fun.
How many would you say are out there?
Off the top of my head, it's an absurd
Absurd.
amount. It's like
Yeah.
there was a good like 5 years where they were releasing like 4 or 5 a year, like
Especially in the 90s.
yeah, that, and then like the
like early 2000s.
early
like, random
2000s, yeah.
games as well.
Yeah.
There was like what I consider the golden age of Star Wars games, which was like the 2005, 2006 era, which was literally like that time was like Battlefront 2, Republic Commando, Knights of the Old Republic 2. It was insane, like top quality games. I'm just
Looks like from what
I've
I'm
also,
looking at,
I'll
with
say
the
like a quick Google search just
Yeah.
kind of showed us that there are 140 total Star
dear
Wars.
Lord,
Now, what-
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I was like,
what
yeah, there's probably like at
qualifies-
least 50. Jeez.
Well, right.
I'm sure there are some
I was
small
thinking
ones, like,
60. Like that's where I was.
Well, is that including like mobile games? Because I know there are some there's like VR, almost basically just tech demos.
It's true.
I know there's some stuff that's smaller, but is that factored in
Yeah.
there as well? I guess.
Well, it's factoring in, it's factoring in some smaller like point and click adventure kind of stuff. There's also some like
Okay.
really cheesy there's some of the Game Boy Advance games. Like it kind of crosses all consoles and kind of, looks at anything that could remotely be called a game. So there's definitely stuff in here that I would guarantee you almost nobody plays.
There's a
some
lot
stuff
of-
here I haven't even heard of.
There's a lot of Game Boy Advance games. I'm looking at the list right now. I'm like, there's Game Boy Advance games I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they're counting like the different versions of the game, because I know like Force Unleashed technically had 2 versions. There was the Wii version and the PlayStation 2 version, and then there's the 360 version, which was like
Well, and there's also the DLCs. I'm wondering if
Yeah.
the DLCs can technically count as
They just-
almost like their own separate
a
game.
lot of them they re-released them as just their separate game. Like Force Unleashed was another one.
Yeah. Who remembers Star Wars Jedi Arena for the Atari?
I mean, I played it, and I definitely didn't grow up with it because I'm not old, but
Thanks.
yeah.
Appreciate that. I had an Atari, and that was the closest I could get to a Star Wars game. Okay.
No way.
My first video game thing was an Xbox. 'Cause we were dirt poor before that. So
I think my first
no Ataris or nothing for me.
Star Wars game I actually like truly played was probably Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds for computer, like on PC. Like
God,
it was a basically an Age of Empires clone. It literally was made by the guys that made Age of Empires, made a Star Wars game. It's awesome, and I think I
They
played
really
that
just
one.
reskinned it. That's
Yeah,
all they did.
it's
'Cause
literally
there was some weird little glitchy pieces to that game where
Yeah.
you could tell it was just them kind of, taking the same code and
It's like-
reskinning it.
this is clearly the map of France, but it has asteroids in it.
Oh my god,
You just start
Yeah.
speaking
that sounds
German.
cheesy as hell.
It was
Yeah.
awesome though. It was awesome. But I think that was the one that I first really played. Like I didn't have anything for the Super Nintendo or anything like that in terms of Star Wars. Yeah. What about you guys?
I would say the first one I touched on, and I would never forget the time I played this, is the Star Wars Episode 1 Racers
Oh
for the 64. Did so many hours into that.
Pod
Maybe
Racer
more my
was
brother,
fun.
but I would watch him a lot. But
Is that the Pod Racer one?
Yeah.
yeah,
They used to have like you could play that at arcades, right? Like they
Yeah.
had an actual cabinet set up. Yeah, that
Oh,
shit
yeah.
was. Oh,
and recently now you can get it on the Switch.
Yeah. You just came out on the
I've been
Switch.
debating so hard on getting it. Like I just might.
It's fun. Gotta get some Ben Quadranero action going on there.
Yeah, I think the first Star Wars game that I ever really 100% dove into was probably Dark Forces.
Ooh.
There were definitely other Star Wars games that were out there before that, but I really didn't invest that much into them. I didn't really get in. I talked about this before on the podcast, but I didn't really invest too much time and energy into Star Wars prior to that. And then once I had about the mid 90s, I think Dark Forces came out like 1995 or something like that. But when I dove into that, that was kind of when I then started going back through anything that existed for Star Wars prior to that and playing all of that on any console that I had. But that was probably the first one.
Dear
that one was very
Lord.
much a point and click kind of, or not point and click, but like a first person, like super low res shooter. And it was, I don't know, it was just very, very cool. Learned a lot about playing PC games from that. So.
I just looked at it. Dark Forces came out like a month and a little bit before I was born.
I was playing Star Wars video games before you were born.
Literally
It's
have,
great.
yeah.
Great.
Literally
Awesome.
have.
Awesome. Yeah, I will say the games that probably aside from Dark Forces, and the Dark Forces series, there was Dark Forces 2. There was
It goes into Jedi Academy and it's Jedi Knight and
Jedi
stuff.
Academy. Yeah. Like all of those were like big games, obviously for me on the PC. But then when it came to like console playing, the Super Star Wars series where they did Super Star Wars, and then Super Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, and then Super Star Wars.
The
Return of
hardest
Jedi.
games in the freaking world.
Oh my gosh,
they're
they were so
brutal.
hard, but I beat every single one of them. And I will say, Jedi was probably the best of the three. It had better game mechanics. It flowed a little bit better than everything else. There was more like fighting as Luke actually felt like fighting as a Jedi. It honestly was kind of unfair because I felt like Luke was probably the better character to play just because of the combination of the lightsaber and the blaster that you could use. But yeah, those were great. I owned those and played those repeatedly because they were fantastic. But the next big one that I probably touched was when the N64 came out and Shadows of the Empire came to the
Good
console.
game.
That was
Good game.
yeah. That fucking train level though, God, I hated that level so much. I honestly I don't think I ever beat the game first run through it. I think I actually stopped at the train level because I was so pissed that I broke one of my controllers. And then I had to come back and play it again later after I'd gotten a new controller and cooled down a little bit. Yeah, that was good. That was a good game. In hindsight, probably not the best game they ever made. There was a lot of problems with that game, but at the time, amazing.
It came out at a time when there was no other Star Wars content, and it came out with a big push with books and the game and comics and stuff like that. So it was really cool at the time. It's kind of what they're doing with High Republic right now, honestly.
I was going to say it was very much like, because I remember when the comics came out for it, and think I read one of the books for it as well. But it was kind of cool to see that like there was games and there was comics and there was books. Like there was a lot of media, like different forms of media, all for this period that we didn't really have a lot of information on because the movies were out there. But we didn't know what happened between the two, and it was kind of cool to see this like the story of another person. Probably the first time that we really had seen that happen.
Not
Because
Han
really
Solo.
right, the only between the movies kind of story that I had really jumped into at that point was probably the Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which happens between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. And that was like, I loved that book. Really changed kind of my whole perspective on the universe. I kind of opened it up to like, oh wow, there's more than the movies out here. And
The original sequel to A New Hope, Splinter.
exactly yep. And the Shadows of the Empire kind of did that again, where it was like, oh, okay, wait, there's more of a universe here than just what you see in the movies. Like, dive into this a little bit more. So, and yeah, like you said, they're doing that now with High Republic, which is exciting to see.
Adrian, what do you think is your favorite Star Wars game out of the 5 you played?
Oh, you know the answer.
I do know the answer, but I mean, I'm asking the question.
It is no, it's Star Wars Commandos.
Yeah,
What's the
Republic Commando.
actual? There you go, Star Wars Republic Commandos. Hands down,
Yeah,
favorite game. I personally think it's still one of the best.
it's definitely one of the best. It's one of my favorite. Just it came out right before. I would say, what was that? 2 years before Clone Wars came out. It was the first time we really got to see the clones as people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And that when
not just the people you sent to go do your dirty work and stuff.
just like
Yeah.
faceless grunts, it was like, oh, these are individual people. I thought it was, the squad mechanics were super fun. It was a little bit short, but I mean, it was basically Halo with Star Wars skin,
Oh,
and,
then
and it
also,
wasn't a bad
like,
thing.
Republic Commando walk so that ODST could run.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, little side note is the game. I think it was the game lead for Commando ended up going over to Halo 5 and doing the squad mechanics for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the same guy that did the squad mechanics in Commando does it in Halo 5, which is one of the better parts of Halo 5. I'm not going to go into that. We're not a Halo podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say, I don't know.
Go ahead.
At least it was for me for this game. It was the first time I had really experienced like the work that you got to do with like your AIs in the game.
Yeah.
You send them to do certain things and they actually do it. It wasn't they're just there. In this game, you got to see them do the work.
And you had choices too. It'd be like, all right, I want you either I want you to hack that door, or I want you to breach that door, or I would need you to go
Yeah.
into that sniping position, and they would go based off of their preferences too. You can obviously put it. It was very intelligent AI for a original Xbox game. Like, it was surprisingly well done, and the multiplayer was fun too. Me and my friends used to spend hours playing that.
Oh yeah, same here with me and my brother. Like, that's all. This is the game we would be playing for months.
The Trandoshan shotgun is one of the most overpowered weapons in video games.
Why use anything else when you have that? Honestly.
Yeah. Andres, what about you?
Well, you said, was it favorite or
Yeah, what's
first?
your favorite? We've done the first.
Favorite? Honestly, probably Battlefront 2, the recent one.
Oh, really?
Um,
Oh,
and then
yeah, you and Diego have.
second, yeah, as second though, the original Battlefront 2
Uh-huh.
tied with the Phantom Menace PC game. That one I think was the first one that I played.
Really?
It was really cool. Yeah. Because we had like a family computer.
Uh-huh.
So like that's where I mainly played games. It was basically Disney games and Phantom Menace.
Oh
And
man,
Phantom Menace, I just remember like
is
being
that
just so above and beyond, like playing Tarzan or something like that.
the top down one?
Not fully top down. It is like a 3D action game. Like you are third person, but the camera is kind of skewed above a little bit.
Oh my gosh, I remember this game.
It's not. It's
Camera
not.
is a little wonky as hell.
It's not the Obi-Wan
yeah.
one, is it? Or is it literally the Phantom Menace?
You do start as Obi-Wan, yeah.
Okay,
So you start as Obi-Wan. It's like pretty much follows the movie. So you start out right there in the negotiations or like the conference room that they're in.
yeah, okay, yeah.
And just go on from there. But the game's wonky, but it just, I don't know, it had charm and like I was, whoa, holy shit, video games. that was really cool. Where I was like realizing how cool games could be. But Battlefront 2, the older one, Diego and I would just play that a fuck ton. Literally just like him and I versus AI. Like you could just go in and set up like pretty much queue up what you wanted to play. And you'd be like, I want to do the whole like galactic run here. We're gonna go to these planets.
Yeah.
You would just set it all up, hit start, and then you're just chilling for who knows how long.
Galactic Conquest was a
Kinda take
good
up-
time waster.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. So I say that close second, but the new Battlefront, just because it's made by Dice, which I love already, because Battlefield is one of my favorite series, and they always go hella high fidelity when it comes to visuals and sound design,
Yeah.
which they went so far and away. Like
They went hard in
with
Battlefront
this
2.
one, it just makes the immersion just that much better, because you can literally, like, I would just you go in first person, you put your headphones on, you turn the volume way the fuck up, and you're in Star Wars. Like you're just hearing everything shooting around you. It's like all the sounds you know and remember from the movies, and you're just in the actual shit, which is dope. I love it. So that was probably my favorite, if I'm being honest. Although, oh shit, Fallen Order.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you really enjoyed Fallen Order too when you were telling me.
I did, yeah. I even like went back to do a new game plus on that one. I think I've started that game like 3 times. Okay. So Fallen Order also tied for second, and that one mostly just because like that's I think when it most clicked for me, and I get that it's like the lightest form of it, but like the Souls type of games, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this makes sense to me now. Like I would actually play another.
Oh, it's
kind of game
Dark
like
Souls,
that.
but actually fun. Like,
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not as quote unquote hardcore. Like it lets you just actually play it. And I wasn't on the hardest difficulty either. I just did whatever the
Jedi
regular
Knight.
one is. I didn't go easy bitch mode either, but
yeah,
I'm on my roots, bitch. But yeah, that one, the story was really cool. I like how it expanded on things and like kind of let you see some other things that were going on, but still also let you have a little bit of like choices in there with in terms of like customization for Cal, your little robot, your little ship, your saber. Like it was cool. I like just going around trying to find pieces so that I could just change up my look and just mess around with all the different abilities. seeing
what
how
color
to
do you want your
juggle those.
poncho to be?
Yeah, basically. I'm like, I'm going with the like, I don't know, army green, the olive green, with a little bit of a yellow accent on there.
Sean, did I
But I
ask
don't
ask
really-
you what your favorite game was?
Favorite one's probably Fallen Order. I mean,
It's good.
It's really good.
I did love Rogue Squadron, like the original Rogue
Oh,
Squadron
I love
and
Rogue
the original Pod
Squadron.
Racer. Like those were all so good. Like
Rogues-
those were games that I played with friends. Those are games that I like really went nuts with. Like it's rare that you have like, well, I shouldn't say that. I feel like sometimes anymore there's so much content out there that it's almost rare that you have games that you just spend hours playing for like months and years at a time. And because of the limited content that I had for Star Wars games growing up, there was a lot of those games that I just played like to an excessive amount. And Rogue Squadron was one of those. That was one that I played with friends. You'd have friends over and pass the controller around and do stuff like that.
Rogue Squadron for me is like where my love of flying in games has came from. I love Rogue Squadron and like the Jedi Starfighter game. Oh, so good.
Yeah. And Jedi Starfighter was good. The Battle for Naboo, another great game. I don't know why that one sticks in my head, but that one is definitely one of my favorites.
That's a
Battle
reference.
for Naboo is where you basically just played episode 1, but you played it as if you were like a starfighter. You're just one of the Naboo fighters flying around trying to handle a bunch of random missions that you did see in the movie, but also that you didn't. Like kind of gave a little bit more expanded story and a little bit more expanded universe to that part of the trilogy. But yeah, I like early days of flying games. I'll be honest, I have not enjoyed Squadrons quite as much. It's a good game. It is not a bad
I
game.
enjoy
It was
Squadrons a
super fun.
lot, but there's not a lot of content. I wish there was more. I wish there was more game modes. If there was more game modes, I'd probably play it more. But right now, it's like there's still only 2 game modes in the campaign, and the campaign's okay for me.
Yeah.
I will say though, if you can play that in VR. Like if you find an
Yeah,
opportunity to do
yeah,
so,
it's meant for
it
VR.
is super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Probably one
that's
of the
my
better
next-
VR experiences that there are, because you just feeling like you're actually in that ship and being able to look around and look at all the different buttons and dials. It's awesome.
Yeah.
The
Given the
A1
amount of customization they have for like just your cockpit alone, yeah, it definitely is obviously meant for VR. Which someday that is probably my next big PC/gaming purchase is a headset. So
Yeah, and if you already have Squadrons, it's definitely a good one to jump in on when you get that.
yeah, definitely.
I haven't got a
Oh.
chance to play it yet, but I want to play. Speaking of VR, I want to play Vader Immortal. I haven't got a chance to play it though, but I've heard
I
nothing
was,
but good things for it.
At a friend's house actually last week, and he has that because he got an Oculus Quest for Christmas. So he has Vader's Quest and he launched it. And I was just kind of sitting there on the couch watching it. It looks really cool.
Is that a
So I'm definitely
specific?
about it.
Is that a specific
think-
VR game?
I think
It's
it's
a game.
only on Oculus actually.
They
You can play it on the other
it just
ones,
came over to what's the other, the Vive.
Steam.
It just came over
Oh.
to the Vive.
Oh,
Oh, I
nice.
did not
Okay,
know that,
then I
actually.
might play it.
Also, I forgot in terms of favorite games, hella high honorable mention the Lego Star Wars games.
Legos,
Oh,
yeah.
damn.
None
I
in
am
particular.
so
Those are
excited
just-
for the new one. Like legitimately,
when
I
it
am
comes out.
so hyped for it.
Yeah, Skywalker Saga. If they ever actually want to release that, just dust it off the shelf that it's just been sitting on, and release it finally. That would be really cool. But
Like,
all the old
I
Star
will-
Wars games. Diego and I recently rebought these again. I think we've probably bought some form of the Star Wars Lego games, probably like 4 times. I have it on the PC now. I think on the Switch, on the PlayStation, on PS3, I think as well, and the 360. Because they're just such fun, like couch co-op games. You just sit there, have a good time. Just your wonky little dudes were running around.
It blew our
comedy.
It blew me and my brother's mind in the first Lego Star Wars game, playing the episode 3 and then having to fight each other as Anakin and Obi-Wan. That was
Shit.
that was a really cool moment just in gaming in general. That's fun when you do a co-op game and then at the end you get to fight each other.
Yeah.
And that was the first real time I've actually saw it in a game. Was like, oh yeah, of course we're gonna fight each other. Like,
Splinter Cell was like that as well.
yeah, Splinter Cell was like that. Recently, A Way Out was like that. What is
Yeah,
that?
no, it's really cool. They're so accessible too, because like
Oh,
anybody
yeah.
can play this. It's super simple, but it's still so much fun. Especially if you start trying to go for all the collectibles, and then as you're unlocking all your characters and buying ships for your hangar or what have you, and then just going back and doing the free play with the new character, so you can access all the other areas you couldn't reach or go through before.
Allegedly,
Replayability in there.
allegedly the new one is you get to fly to planet and stuff like that. It's like they're legitimately the biggest one they've ever done.
They're
And
ramping up the Lego then because they normally keep it pretty simple for the Lego games.
Yeah, they
They
did.
the biggest they've gone is like cities and stuff like that. Like for the Marvel ones, they've gone full on city, and
Yeah.
I thought that was a big deal. And
Like they've had a few like quote unquote open world ones essentially. Yeah,
I was
like
gonna
the
say-
Marvel ones are essentially open world in the city. The Lord of the Rings one, they basically let you
That
explore
Lord of the Rings was
just,
cool.
like huge sections at a time.
yeah,
But yeah, so I'm really excited for the Skywalker saga with how big they've gotten, and even just looking at it now, like the actual look of everything. Just if you remember the old ones, just playing in like 480p, basically, they look like shit now in retrospect.
Yeah.
These look so crisp. Just having 4K
yeah.
Lego R2D2 just chilling.
It's like, man, the light coming off that
What's
plastic is
the point?
really cool.
It's just I don't know, for no reason. You just have
Oh
these-
shit! I'm looking at the
Wait.
picture.
It's so good.
It's
So I'm super
ridiculous.
excited. I can't wait for this to come out. Yeah, actually, you know what?
Apparently, Matt Martin of the story group said that he hasn't been this excited about upcoming games in a long time for Star Wars, and he's like, nobody even knows that they're announced. They're not even announced yet, but it's coming. And so I'm like,
Oh, wow.
I'm very. He's like,
Oh, and
sorry, what was that, Andres?
no, I was gonna say this isn't as of yet announced game.
Yeah, he's like, these are not announced, but it's gonna be. They're some of my favorite stories are coming about, in gaming, and so I'm like, man, E3 season, whatever they end up doing for E3 season, I could see them announcing like a handful of games and just being like, "Yep, here it is." Let's see
That makes sense because they've had several projects that could have been really cool.
Yeah.
Was it Star Wars 1313?
That one got
That was
canceled
being
right
headed up
when
by
Disney bought Lucasfilm, so it just kind of got put on the wayside. It kind of like how Clone Wars got canceled too. The one that they were working on with Amy Hennig that used to do Uncharted, that was supposed to be like an open world smuggler game. You're like
Smuggler.
yeah, and apparently it was cool, but it didn't come
I
out.
bet. So yeah, I don't know if we just keep getting more stuff coming out, because I feel like Star Wars media in general has just been getting better these past like 2-3 years. They've just been knocking it out. Like,
Finally.
with Fallen Order, with Mandalorian, after the Rocky sequel trilogy, and then people just kind of losing faith. They're like, all right, you know what? We got to hunker down here. Even though the standalone movies, like when they were releasing those, really cool. Like Rogue One, probably my favorite Star Wars movie. And then Solo, even though people shat on it, it's a solid watch. It's very fun.
It's fun.
I'm with you.
It's a fun movie. But yeah, I don't know. And then the 7th season of Clone Wars as well, which was just actually insane. I'm happy that it seems like they're like, all right, funnel our resources, make good stuff, and people will buy it. People will want it.
It's a good time to be a fan for sure, because like we're going into what could potentially be like a second like Star Wars golden age.
Yeah.
And an even better one.
Stuff out there. Yeah, with really good games out there, with really good movies, shows, like all of that. Like we're gonna see the universe expand a lot, especially through mediums like games and comic books and different novels that'll come out. So it's a good time to.
My wish is that when EA's license is up, that they open it up a bit. I don't want just one publisher having the rights to Star Wars. I'm fine with EA, what they've done, like Fallen Order, again, one of my favorite Star Wars games. It's legitimately one of my favorite Star Wars games. Not a huge fan of what they've done with it, because they have done hardly anything. But I just want more. I feel like the more creators that you can get on their hands on Star Wars, the better it's going to be for everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't. That's my wish. I don't know if it'll happen, but
because EA does have a bunch of good developers under them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like DICE is
so
solid.
Many more that could be working, and I'm sure that I would be dying to work on a Star Wars project. That if they got the chance to, they would put in their all, and we just get even more cool stuff. But it'd be nice if other people got to actually make some stuff.
How many more years do we have left with that contract in EA?
I think like 3 more years. It was a 10-year contract.
Yeah.
And it was a year after Disney bought it. And they bought it, so yeah, give or take like 3 more years. So I have a question. What game studio would you want to make a game?
That's if I can
tough.
remember game studio names.
If
I literally only went to the one that just made one, but
yeah,
Respawn just did.
Yeah. I could start.
BioWare,
what's up?
BioWare fucks it up on a regular basis, but like BioWare does really well with their stories. Like I feel like if we wanted to get a really good story out of a game, BioWare would probably be a decent choice.
I would want Sucker Punch to do a game. They just did.
They could knock something out of the park. Something kind of Rogue One, like an action third-person kind of game. Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's between that or Santa Monica for me, but I know Santa Monica would never do it because they're doing God of War all the time.
Imagine though.
Yeah, imagine like a Jedi game in the style of God of War, the latest God of War. I would die, literally. Like, oh.
Let's see here. Oh, you know what? I feel like we might be overdue for like. And I know that Squadrons just came out, but I feel like that is more of a VR vehicle than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But if they could come out either another racing game or another sort of like
Yeah, that'd be fun.
game that lets you explore in ships a lot more.
I was
Not
actually
necessarily
another-
just PvP, but like something a bit more open, maybe.
I was thinking about
I
this
was
while we were
thinking another
playing
race.
we were playing Need for Speed a little bit there. I'm like, what if they do like a open world pod racing game where you
I was
just
just gonna say, not like the open world, but like we need another pod racing game.
where you can
Yeah,
customize the
imagine,
parts and everything like that.
exactly, just about to say customize like different components, like performance wise,
Dude.
and also
Get some
cosmetic.
Bulbas.
Go to
Oh, that'd be so
Uh,
cool. And
just
like
being able to go to different planets and just being able to pick up resources and try like different quote
Yeah.
unquote leagues. Yeah, somebody's sleeping on that. I don't know. Criterion, pick that up, do it.
Yeah,
Because
I would pay a lot of money for that.
Isn't pod racing like is it a big thing in like
In the
technically Star
universe?
Wars?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
only Tatooine or is that
no, it's
only
it's
it's the Outer Rim.
it's Outer Rim. It's technically illegal.
Yeah,
Oh,
So there is a lot you can do, and
It-
it literally sounds like Need for Speed right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's literally illegal. But I think it picked up more pace during the Empire Age. It's hardly mentioned, but it is mentioned. But yeah, they could do something with that, especially with the underworld and all that. That'd be kind of cool. They could bring in some Vin Diesel family stuff, with pod racing. That's
yeah, no,
calling it now.
all
Vin
about that.
Vin Diesel's
Literally,
coming into a pod racing movie. Who else?
you win
Who's
by
the
an
company?
inch or a parsec. A win's a win.
Who's the game development company that does Assassin's Creed, or is there multiple?
There's multiple, so it switches between Quebec and Montreal.
Yeah.
I would say
But-
somewhere there, whoever's made the better Assassin's Creed, if they picked
know
it
what?
up.
Montreal.
Yeah, because they do
I-
have a lot
I-
of like good. Whenever you don't have to worry about like the odd bug here and there, which most games have
Mhm.
these days. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They're very solid. I feel like.
Yeah.
I would
Pretty
want.
fluid.
I am a huge fan of Ubisoft's games in general. They get kind of like crapped on for being the more or less the same across the board.
Yeah.
But they're always solid games, and I always enjoy them. And I would just enjoy a solid experience with an open world with how they do open world.
Or even something like a Far Cry. but,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the Star Wars world, would be pretty cool.
Also want a
Just
really
there's
good.
So much stuff they could take advantage of just with that setting. Basically.
Yeah. I
Was
want a
the
really
Fallen
good shooter
Order
too.
Open world.
Yes, but there's a.
Somewhat.
It's not open. It's more Metrovania than anything.
Because you have different locations, you'll have essentially five different planets you can go to,
Something like
and
that.
each one you can just kind of explore at will. You're pretty much going to be opening up different areas. The further you progress into the game, you'll be able to actually access more areas of each planet. It's like when you initially go somewhere, you're probably only going to get so far before you either can't open a certain door, or you can't reach a certain spot, or do whatever you might need to advance.
And even then, the path to get there is pretty linear. It's just. It's
You're allowed
not.
to explore.
You're allowed to
within
explore the
that
linear
set
area.
area.
Yeah.
So it's not like one whole giant open world. Although something like that would be pretty fucking cool as well. If they just did like, you know what, you're a nobody just in, I don't know, Coruscant or something, but you're like way down there in the depths and climb your way out.
You know who would make a cool Star Wars game? I'm just looking at my game list here. Arcane
That's what I was doing.
Arcane Studios, the guys that did Prey and Dishonored.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for abilities and stuff?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm,
Or even if they did it like something like you're a bounty hunter or something like that, and you're using abilities that way.
It's like a
Oh, like
Mandalorian
more
version.
different.
Yeah, something like that.
Mandalorian. Fuck.
Even just copying something like that over, we're like, you got to hunt for Beskar to try and actually improve your kit.
I mean, Mandalorian is basically a game in show form. He literally every episode he's side questing, completing the quest, and getting a piece of gear. That's literally the Mandalorian.
That's how I thought the first season was. I'm like, this is just a
It
video
literally
game.
was. He's literally just
Like-
upgrading his like, stuff throughout. I'm like,
Are-
hell yeah, no, he's got that upgrade. Yes.
I saw something on Twitter the other back when season 2 was going, and it says Mando would be the type of guy that complete every side quest before completing the main quest, and when he's playing a game.
Yeah, they're fucking around on 8 different planets. He's like, oh yeah, Grogu. I should probably find somebody for this kid.
I think at some point in season 2, I was like, dude, the kid. The kid.
I feel like that's kind of why it clicked for a large portion of the audience as well, just because they're so familiar with something like that, where he's just like slowly upgrading himself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, that makes sense. That's what I would be doing.
That's why it
Exactly.
hit out of the park for me. I'm like,
Mhm.
this is me. This is me when I play games. Ugh.
It was good stuff. So,
I mean, I would.
Did he say? Because you said, this is like the most excited game he's coming out
So,
on the horizon.
The
Was that
games,
one title
games,
or
and
several?
several. He said like 2005, 2006 era of how many games are coming out, kind of thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
so they're pretty much trying to rival their games, I guess, with their shows.
exactly.
They have 10 slated shows right now. And
11
you don't
technically
need
now
that
with
many games,
Boba.
'cause that would be insane. Sure.
Plus with all the High Republic stuff that just came out today. That's another multi-year thing, which they announced yesterday that the High Republic is now going to be 3 phases in multi-year. So there's definitely room for video games to fit into that plan.
Yeah, I would be surprised if at least half of the ones coming out probably don't focus, because
I mean, at least
like their next area of focus. Like,
yeah,
they're like, oh, you're done with Skywalker now, so I'm like, all right, let's just shoot back however many years and explore the actual High Republic, I guess.
yeah, and
Right.
I mean, the Acolyte is already going to be part of that. It takes place at the end of the High Republic, granted, but it's still part of that era. So I mean, they're already setting the groundwork for it. I don't know. There's opportunity to do something cool. I'm fine with staying in the Skywalker saga, but I like new stuff. I like it when Star Wars
No,
gets weird.
I think it's
Agreed.
let's go look at other stuff.
Yeah,
It's been very cool. I really like all of those characters, but
I think that's why
there's
Fallen
a
Order
whole
clicked with me.
galaxy. There's
Yeah,
so
no,
much
exactly,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a whole galaxy, and that's even like we talked about this last episode. I was a little bit iffy on spoiler alert, Mando meeting Ahsoka and Luke and all that, because I'm like,
Mhm.
it's a big galaxy. Why did they need to know each other? Like, but it made sense when they did it. I'm like, okay, that made sense.
Yeah,
Um,
because you're like, you know what? Yeah, there really wouldn't be that many Jedi left. Like, Ahsoka would probably be the one.
and she would know Bo-Katan, and it makes sense why.
Yeah.
No, that whole story with her and everything made sense.
Mhm.
Even Luke showing up at the end made sense. Like
Yeah.
but anyways, I think that's why Fallen Order clicks so well with me. Is that it was a lot of the familiar with the prequels and the original trilogy, but it was exploring like an ancient race, the Zepho, and characters we've never seen before, and like concepts we've never really seen before.
Yeah.
Like every
It based itself like in stuff you've seen, but then didn't just follow that. Like, you went to Dathomir, which you'd been to in Clone Wars and all that stuff, but you got to like actually explore some of those.
yeah. Well,
areas,
even the character of
see
Mirren.
some of the creatures.
Mirren, we've only ever seen bad Night Sisters, and I mean she was literally part of that Night Sister clan, and I wouldn't consider her a bad guy by any means.
Yeah.
No.
She was literally just trying to survive.
She's like, you're here to kill me, aren't you? You're like, I'm literally not, but I feel like you're not going to believe me.
Yeah. Because you carry the weapon that killed my family. It's like, ooh, she's talking about Grievous. Ooh.
Yep.
But I don't know. I'm very excited for whatever's on the horizon, because I feel like they're on the upward slope. So anything that comes out is going to be on that trajectory.
I'm going to shift focus a little bit here because we're talking about games, but are you guys have any interest in following any of the High Republic stuff? I know I am. I'm going balls deep into it, so.
Yes. Very much.
I am, in the sense that like I'm still just sort of like, now's where I'm just kind of wading into the waters of
Mhm.
the the non-Skywalker stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much just at a point where I'm wanting to consume almost any and everything that comes my way. So I just want to see what else is out there. I'm like, all right, you have this whole area that we've never seen, or this whole like time era that we've never really seen. So let's explore what's in there, like how that eventually leads into stuff that we do know.
Yeah. Leads to the fall of the Jedi. It's like it really at its core, it's a tragedy. Like you're seeing the height of the Republic, you're seeing the height of the Jedi, and they fall.
Yep.
I feel like everything is going into like one direction constantly. So like, hopefully we expand more. I feel like they're just trying to close their stories. It's like we're gonna tell these stories for the next 10 years, but eventually, we tapping into the other parts of Star Wars,
which is great.
Yeah.
I've read the prologue of the first book that came out, and man, I'm like, this is gonna be some good stuff. This is good stuff. one of the first lines.
Not really.
What's up? Okay, so go ahead. Go ahead. No, yeah,
I was gonna ask, is it because Star Wars is like sci-fi fantasy?
Yeah, more fantasy than anything.
I would assume this almost leans. I was about to say High Republic seems like it would lean more heavily into fantasy than some of the other stuff, essentially.
So the authors that have that
I just think of elves basically whenever I hear High Republic.
Yeah, the authors that are basically like stewarding the High Republic right now, they did a press conference kind of thing yesterday, just talking about just what they're working on and stuff like that. And so they drew inspiration from Arthurian legend. So it's a lot of like very similar to like the Knights of the Round Table and stuff like that. And that with also the political attitude of like 1960s America, with like Kennedy like going to the moon and stuff like that, always doing new stuff. And so
this is really it's about the expansion into the Outer Rim.
Exactly, yeah, and it's but also it's like the government, like a big spoiler alert, like this happens in the first like couple paragraphs of the book. The big hyperspace disaster happens, and the Republic, instead of being the corrupt ones that we've seen in the movies, is actually trying to actively help everybody that's going on. So it's very different than we've ever seen in any story, legends or canon. We've never seen it like this. One of the first lines in the book is the Force is with the galaxy, and I'm like, oh, that is a cool line. That is a really cool line, and I love that. I don't know, I'm super hyped about it. And I mean, Andres, you say you want to get into it. I would read anything that Charles Soule does. He's done a ton in comics, and he's writing the first book, and he's legitimately one of the best Star Wars writers I've ever read.
Okay.
Charles Soule's Darth Vader comics. I was
about to say that's going on right now, right?
Good.
Darth Vader. Well, his is done. His run of Darth Vader is done. He also did Kylo Ren, which is also really good for some reason. Like
it makes sense for him to do it though.
He's done, but he does these characters where like, really, do we need to see more of them? And then he does, and you're like, oh yeah, we absolutely needed to see more of them. It made total sense. He's famous for doing Daredevil, like before Star Wars. Really revitalizing Daredevil.
It's a true nerd right here.
But yeah, I'm excited about High Republic and stuff like that. It's just something new, and I'm all for new and weird. Apparently gets weird. There's two new bad guys. There's groups. I mean, there's the Nile, which are basically space Vikings but worse because they don't have a code of honor. They literally just they'll just do whatever they want, but they're just organized enough to be a group.
It's almost like pirates.
Yeah, basically space pirates, but not like Hondo.
Right.
If that makes sense, like actually brutal. Like,
well, Hondo almost had like a code.
Yeah, even that Hondo had a code. It wasn't like the nice pirates. These are the ones that like, yeah, no, I'm gonna slaughter your entire family, like just because I can.
Because you're in my way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does them having the word Viking really give them a certain look?
If you want, I could post a picture. And then there's, I think they're called the Drenger. They're basically plant-based life forms that feed off the dark side. And think of a plant-based version of the Flood from Halo.
Yeah, it almost sounds like hive mind type stuff, like Vex from Destiny.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
Is this going to be a resurrection of like the Yuzong Va?
They're kind of already done the Vong with the race called the Grisk in the Thrawn books.
Oh, okay.
This is something new.
Okay.
I haven't got far enough into it to really.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm posting a picture in our Discord here just to for reference. Anyone that's listening, just look
Google
online.
link dump.
Yeah, link dump that I don't know. That I'm...
Google it, you figure it out.
That's the link dump. Just
For
figure
us,
it out.
It's right here.
Go ahead and read the URL for this so people can type it in.
So this is the Nile.
Oh, those look gnarly. Wow, dude, her helmet looks insane. Actually, so does his.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm very much about that.
that's
Their ships are also very interesting because they're very much influenced by this kind of chaotic energy that they have. I was looking like me. One of the things I'm very excited about is like the architecture, the ships, the stuff that we're gonna see. Like a lot of their stuff is it's angular, it's very aggressive. It looks mean, which is perfect.
Nice.
It has a very good
And they
visual-
apparently they
visual
use
element.
hyperspace as a weapon. And so I'm like, yo, how's that work?
Oh,
Is
How
that
does that
kind of
work?
like?
And it's not like the holdo maneuver or anything like that. They use it in a very
So they're not just like going through ships.
no. They're I think from what I did in the prologue, I think they're just specifically putting things in the way of hyperspace lanes and making people crash into them and stuff like that. Like it's insane.
damn.
Wow.
okay. Yeah, that's exciting.
Those Drenger look gnarly as hell. I don't even know.
And
It's
then,
like a blend of so many different things. They
Yeah.
almost have like tentacles, but these sharp teeth and
well, in the press conference, they're like, "Oh yeah, these people full on will eat some of our main characters. Like they'll just eat them." And I'm like, "Okay, this is where you're going with this."
Nice.
This
It
is
sounds like a Game of Thrones thing. No one's gonna fucking survive.
this is
Yeah.
the leader of the Nile, who's looks dope. Like
Yeah.
kind of looks like a Vex from Destiny.
yeah, with the red eye. Oh, his gun looks gnarly as well. Of course, gotta have the cloak / cape. whatever you wanna call
Capes are like
Yeah.
a every
You don't have a cloak,
good or
do you?
bad you need a cloak.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some new
Maybe
characters. There's a guy. There's a Jedi called Bloodbag, and all he does is
Tell me, is he visually at all similar to Bloodbag, or I guess Max from Mad Max?
No, he's just a big, huge Jedi, and all he yells is "Bloodbag is here," but he's a healer, and he's like, I'm there to put the blood back in the body, not take it out." Like he's the most bizarre.
So is he kind of like neutral?
No, he's a Jedi.
Oh, okay. So
but
He's like
he's a Jedi named Blood.
Jedi, like Juggernaut type of dude.
Yeah, kind of.
Just a big brute.
Yeah, and I'm like, what are they doing with these characters?
nice.
Yoda is 200 years in there, but he's also out in the galaxy. I don't.
Yeah, I guess he's
There's
way
some,
younger, huh?
there's some really cool characters. They announced a character that is I don't know if she's a Jedi or something, but she's a saber for hire and she's a monster hunter. And I'm like, yo, we got space witchers.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the one you'd posted the image of her, right?
Yeah,
It's,
yeah, exactly. What's her name? It's Ty.
Yorick.
I am all about it. Like everything about this, like the visual style looks great. The I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah, cloak.
Yeah, the High Republic is going to introduce probably my favorite Jedi fighter. I don't know. I've always been a huge fan of the X-wing, but it's the Vector fighter.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah,
is-
yeah.
It is. Oh, it's slim. It's
Ooh,
sleek.
that looks
It's,
sleek as hell.
yeah, it's not a needle. So like you imagine your viewport filling up with like a bunch of these, because again, we're at the height of the Jedi Order when the Jedi were literally everywhere. Like you're gonna have these things all over the place, and I'm very excited about that.
They
I want a
remind
game
me.
where I can play this.
They remind me
because
of the Sith starfighter from the Old Republic.
Yep.
Kind of.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm a fan of it. It's very much like the Arc 170 that the clones have. That the Arc 170 is bigger and bulkier, but yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of all the stuff that they're doing. There's some people on Twitter freaking out that Disney's ruining Star Wars yet again, but
They
you
can
know,
shut up.
Oh, God, yeah.
They can
I'm
go away.
In what way?
it's my favorite thing. It's
Like,
great.
how do you even argue towards that at this point?
Doesn't Star Wars have like the worst fan base?
I literally, no one hates Star Wars. No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars
Hey,
fans.
listener, you suck.
Like,
Anything they're gonna have
how dare you like
bad
something I like?
part
It's
of their fan base that is just annoying.
oh,
with so much stuff being pumped out, how can you be
I
dissatisfied?
don't
Like, if
know.
you don't care about one thing,
I don't
who
know.
cares?
Exactly.
There's 8 other things right here.
Like,
coming
Yeah,
out.
it is literally a buffet of anything that you want to take away from it. Like you have the
You-
option to take something away from it that
you
you'll
don't
enjoy.
have to like everything. You like I don't like
Exactly.
everything in Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. I did not like Resistance. I mean, you know what? Not for me.
Yeah.
This High Republic though, dude, I'm
hyped.
I want to know more.
Juicy. It's really juicy. Like there's so much potential in this, and it's something that we've wanted to see for a long time. Like I know when they did the Jedi Knight: The Old Republic, when that came out as a game, I got very excited about that. Didn't quite live up to what I wanted to be, but it's still kind of like started to like it starts to reach back into the past and lets us see more. And I'll be honest, that's where we're at right now. Like we need more Star Wars. It's not all focused on the
Yes.
Skywalker saga.
Yeah, I still want Old Republic in canon because I want to see like the Jedi and Sith Wars and I think we'll get there because they've mentioned them.
Yeah.
There's been in the past 2 years they've mentioned like the Jedi and Sith Wars throughout, just mention it and stuff like that. So I'm like, I think they're setting it up because they've also been setting up High Republic for a while now. There's stuff that's in going back to Charles Soule and his Darth Vader comic that he wrote like 3 years ago. There's stuff in there that's in the High Republic that it was mentioned.
I was gonna say maybe they'll eventually like mix these two in with each other.
I think we'll get Old Republic, but I'm excited for the High Republic because we've never even seen it in Legends. It's something completely new to Star Wars, and that's exciting. Super exciting.
That is so cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited just for the story around the Starlight Beacon ship that they are pulling in for the High Republic.
It's very much an outward
the
bound.
Pictures they have of that, just the pictures they have for it, like it automatically begs you to come up with a million stories for what's happening. Like there's so much.
So you say that, and what they're actually doing now is they're in the magazine Star Wars Insider, they're doing little stories in each issue that are for characters on Starlight Beacon. So like literally they're going every medium that you can possibly think of. They're doing it. They're doing comics. They're doing YA novels. They're doing adult novels. They're doing stuff. So that makes me even more convinced that there's going to be games and stuff like that.
Yeah, what I need is a GTA style version of a game that just happens on Starlight Beacon.
Give me a GTA style game as a smuggler. Oh, all about it.
Yeah.
Give me the CD Underworld.
Yep.
Yeah. No, for sure. There's games set in this era coming up. Like if they're wanting, especially to branch out into different mediums like this, like games is where it's at. If you want revenue,
yeah.
Like let's be honest.
Games
and it's Disney, so they do.
Games makes more money than movies do. Games. Like the games industry makes way
music like combined.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously it's Disney. They're gonna want to get in on that. Like they got the streaming thing locked down now. I think they got their service. They got a bunch of shows coming out. Now they're gonna want to be like, all right,
set up for it.
Yeah. Now they're gonna be like, you know what? These video game things these kids are playing. Let's get in all that.
Let's cash in on these Nintendos out here.
And you know what? I will buy every single one of them. Like there's no, they can have all my money.
By 2050, they're gonna have all the video games too.
Yeah, they're gonna own all the studios.
I'm just waiting for Disney to come out and say they've bought EA games and they're gonna be producing all of their games through EA games.
But don't worry, Catherine Kennedy would have ruined that too. It's so annoying. Anyway, I think that's a good place to stop. So, thanks guys for coming on here and episode 2.
Thanks for having us.
Super exciting stuff.
So it's in the bag.
If you guys want, you can do a little shout out for where people could find you on social media and stuff.
Nowhere really. Oh, actually, because I did mean to mention earlier, another honorable mention: Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed is a good game. It's a good arcade game.
Both of them. Just fun. Yeah. Just if you want to just have fun, those will do it. So definitely worth a play.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so you can find me on Twitter, Mouse Brat. Actually, you can find me everywhere.
Yeah.
Where you can find Andres nowhere on the internet, you can find me everywhere on the internet.
I think you can find Andres more than me on the internet.
Yeah, you
Oh, yeah,
just follow. You just followed me on
Buried on
Twitter.
the internet. If you can find me, that'd be fucking impressive.
That's your goal. That's your goal before the next episode comes out. Find Adrian.
And you can follow this podcast at Sheaves Podcast. Just that's it. Sheaves Throne Room Podcast. That's literally all it is. You can find it anywhere. I've registered. Whether or not I'm using it, don't know, but we'll get there. This is episode 2, people. Calm down.
Onlyfans.com.
OnlyFans. Get some sweet Sheav lewds. That's what you're gonna get. All right, guys.
The lube nobody wants.
I want it. Give it to me. That's the content I subscribe for. I'll be making it for me. Do it. All right, guys. Well, this was fun. See you next time, everybody.